I'm Dr. Christy, and this is Climbing Fish Parenting, practical parenting strategies in 20 minutes or less. I'm a psychologist and behavior analyst, and I work with exhausted, overwhelmed parents who feel like they've tried everything and nothing works. If you're listening to this while folding the laundry, hiding in your car, or wishing bedtime would just end already, you're in the right place. Today's topic is medication refusal. What's actually happening when your child won't take their medication, and the practical strategies that work across different ages and challenges. By the end of this episode, you'll understand the two most common reasons medication refusal happens and have specific solutions for each. Ready to transform your parenting journey? Let's dive in. This topic came from a subscriber, and I'm so glad that they wrote in because medication refusal is one of those issues that creates massive stress for families, but nobody really talks about it systematically. Here's what I hear constantly. My child needs medication for ADHD, for anxiety, for whatever, but they won't take it. I've tried hiding it in food. I've tried rewards. I've tried consequences. We battle every single morning, and I don't know what to do. And underneath that is so much guilt. Guilt that you can't get your child to do something that's supposed to help them. Guilt that you're fighting with them over health care. Guilt that maybe if you were a better parent, this wouldn't be so hard. So let me say this clearly. Medication refusal is not a parenting failure. It's a skill deficit, a sensory challenge, a communication breakdown. Once you identify which one it is for your child, you can actually fix it. Here's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to break down the two biggest reasons medication refusal happens, and I'm going to give you specific strategies for each. We're going to cover everything from young kids who can't swallow pills to teenagers who have the skill but don't have buy-in. This is comprehensive, practical, and actionable. As a behavior analyst, when I see any behavior challenge, I start by asking, is this a skill problem or is this a buy-in problem? For medication refusal, those two questions translate to skill. Can they physically take the medication the way it's being offered? Buy-in. Do they understand why they need it, and are they motivated to take it? You need both. If either one is missing, medication compliance falls apart. So let's work through each one. And in my newsletter this week, I'm sharing the third piece of this puzzle, the system piece, which is all about setting up your medication routine so it doesn't depend on you remembering every single morning. So make sure you're subscribed. Let's start with skill, because this is the most common issue for younger kids and the one parents underestimate most. Swallowing pills is a learned skill. It's not intuitive. It requires coordinating your tongue, your throat, and your swallow reflex in a specific way. And for kids with sensory sensitivities, oral motor challenges, or anxiety around choking, pill swallowing can feel genuinely impossible. So if your child is under 8 or 9, or if they're older but have sensory processing differences or anxiety, your first question needs to be, do they actually have the physical skill to swallow this pill? And if the answer is no, you have two paths. Path 1 is teaching the skill. Path 2 is finding an alternative delivery method. Let's talk about path 1 first. Teaching pill swallowing. Here's how you do it systematically using what's called shaping in behavior analysis. Step 1, practice swallowing with just water. No pills yet. Just take a sip of water and swallow. If your child can do this without gagging or spitting, they've got the basic swallow reflex. Move to step 2. Step 2, practice with something dissolvable and tiny, like a sprinkle. One single sprinkle from cake decorating. Put it on their tongue. Take a sip of water, swallow. The sprinkle is so small they won't even feel it. Success? Move to step 3. Step 3, use something slightly bigger but still dissolvable. Mini chocolate chips work great. Or those tiny pearl candies. Put one on the tongue, sip of water, swallow. Keep practicing until it's easy. Step 4, switch to something that won't dissolve, like a Tic Tac or a small round candy like a Nerd's candy. This is where you're actually teaching the skill of swallowing something that stays intact. Start with 1. Practice. Build up to swallowing 2, then 3. Step 5. When they can swallow 3 Tic Tacs in one gulp with water, they can swallow most pills. Now you introduce the actual medication. This progression takes time. For some kids, you're moving through a step per day. For others, you're spending a week on each step. That's okay. You're building a skill they'll use for life. And here's the critical piece: you practice when there's no pressure, not in the morning when you're rushing, not when they're already dysregulated. You practice at neutral times, maybe after school, maybe on weekends, and you make it positive. We're going to practice your swallowing skill. If you can swallow 3 Tic Tacs, you get to pick what's for dinner. Low stakes, high reward. Now let's talk about path two: alternative delivery methods. Because not every child is ready to learn pill swallowing. And for some medications, you need compliance now. If your child's medication comes in pill form but they can't swallow pills, ask your doctor about whether there are liquid formulations. Many ADHD meds and anxiety meds come in liquid form. Chewable versions. This is less common, but it's worth asking about. Capsules you can open and mix with food. Some extended release medications allow this, others don't. So always check with your pharmacist. Crushing pills. Again, only if it's safe for that specific medication. And if you're mixing with food, here's what works: something with strong flavor and thick texture. Applesauce, chocolate pudding, yogurt. Not something thin like juice where they'll taste it. And use just a spoonful. You want them to finish it in 1 or 2 bites, not have a whole bowl of yogurt they might not finish. But here's what you can't do: you can't lie about it. Don't tell them it's just applesauce when there's medication in it. That destroys trust. Instead, this is your medicine mixed in applesauce. Take 2 bites and you're done. Another good trick is to have more than one thing that they'll accept the medication in. In my house, we taught pill swallowing with applesauce. One day we ran out of applesauce, and it was a disaster. After that, we taught that yogurt was an okay alternative. Okay, skill is handled. Now let's talk about buy-in. This is the piece parents of older kids struggle with most. Your child has the skill to take their medication. They can swallow pills just fine when they want to. They take Tylenol without complaint, but they won't take their daily medication. They fight you. They forget. They refuse outright. This is a buy-in problem. And buy-in problems come down to one thing: they're not motivated. They don't understand why they need it, or they understand but they disagree, or they feel like it's being forced on them and they're resisting on principle. Let's break this down by age because the strategies are different. For younger kids, ages 6 to 10-ish, buy-in problems are usually about not understanding cause and effect. They don't connect taking the medication with feeling better or functioning better. It's abstract. They live in the moment. So your job is making it concrete. You do this through observation and feedback. I notice that on days when you take your medicine, you tell me school feels easier. On days when you forget, you come home really frustrated. Do you notice that? You help them make the connection. You don't lecture. You just point out patterns and let them start to see it themselves. You can also use visual data tracking with this age group, a simple chart where they rate their day: green for good, yellow for okay, red for hard. And then you mark whether they took medicine that day. Over a few weeks, they'll start to see the correlation. For tweens and teens, ages 11 and up, buy-in problems are more complex. These kids understand cause and effect, but they might have other reasons for refusing. Maybe they don't like the side effects. Maybe they don't like feeling different from their peers. Maybe they resent feeling like they're broken and need medication to be okay. Maybe they're testing autonomy, and this is the hill they've chosen. For this age group, you can't make them buy in. You have to choose it. You need actual conversations, not lectures, conversations, where you listen to their concerns and collaborate on solutions. Here's what that sounds like. I've noticed you've been resisting your medication lately. I'm not here to force you or lecture you, but I am curious what's going on. Can we talk about it? Then you listen. Really listen. Don't defend the medication. Don't minimize their concerns. Just listen. If they say, "I don't like how it makes me feel," you validate that and problem solve. That makes sense. Nobody wants to feel off. What specifically feels bad? Maybe we can talk to your doctor about adjusting the dose or trying something different. If they say, "I don't want to need medication," you validate that too. I get that. It can feel unfair that your brain needs help when other kids' brains don't. But here's what I need you to understand. Medication isn't about fixing something broken. It's about giving your brain the support it needs to do what you want to do. Kind of like how some people need glasses to see clearly. Does that make sense? If they say, I forget, you know that's probably not the real issue because kids remember things that matter to them. So you dig deeper. What do you think makes it hard to remember? Is it that it's not part of your routine yet? Or is there something else going on? The goal isn't to convince them they're wrong. The goal is to understand their perspective and collaborate on solutions. Because the truth is, if your teenager genuinely doesn't want to take their medication, you can't force them, not long term. They'll find ways to avoid it. So you need to work toward buy-in. And sometimes that means letting them try going without medication, under supervision, with clear parameters, and with a plan to check back in. I hear that you want to try managing without medication. Here's what I'm comfortable with. We try it for 2 weeks, and then we sit down together and honestly evaluate how it's going. If school is falling apart, or you're miserable, or we're fighting constantly, we revisit. But I'm willing to try. What do you think? Giving them agency, letting them have some control, often reduces resistance more than any argument ever will. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to identify whether your child's medication refusal is primarily a skill problem or a buy-in problem. Which one is the biggest barrier right now? If it's skill, commit to teaching pill swallowing this week using the shaping progression I gave you. Or talk to your doctor about alternative delivery methods. If it's buy-in, have one conversation, not a lecture, a conversation, where you ask what's making medication hard for them, and you just listen. Pick one. Start there. And here's the critical piece I didn't have time to cover today. Even if you have the skill and the buy-in, medication still won't happen consistently without a sustainable system. In my newsletter this week, I'm sharing the third part of this framework, the system piece, with specific strategies for making medication automatic instead of something you have to remember every single morning. So make sure you're subscribed. All right, that's it for today. Remember, medication refusal isn't a parenting failure. It's a skill deficit or a buy-in problem. Identify which one is the primary barrier for your child and address it systematically. And then make sure you have a sustainable system in place. That's the piece I'm covering in this week's newsletter. If you've been battling medication refusal and feeling like you're failing, you're not. You just need to address the right piece of the problem. If this was helpful, hit subscribe so next week's episode shows up automatically. And head to my website at climbingfishparenting.com to sign up for my newsletter. That strategy I just gave you, it's the whole climbing fish philosophy in action. There's a quote, everybody's a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it's stupid. Your kid isn't broken. Your parenting isn't broken. Sometimes we're just asking our fish to climb trees. That's what we fix here. I'm Dr. Christy, and I'll see you next week.